Hundreds of employees are now out of a job tonight after a national car dealership unexpectedly shut down. The company abruptly closing all 40 locations, including 3 right here in the Bay Area. And now workers and customers are left with a lot of questions and frustrations.
These 7 brands will bankrupt dealers in 2025 and leave you broke. Real story. Last month, an Arizona family walked into their local Chrysler dealership to have their 2022 Pacifica serviced. What they found was a ghost town. The service department had a 3-week backlog because they'd let go of most of their technicians. The parts department couldn't get the components needed for their repair. And the showroom? Empty except for 3 vehicles gathering dust. When we bought this van 2 years ago, they couldn't keep them in stock, the owner told me. Now they can't give them away, and we're stuck with a $56,000 vehicle that's lost almost half its value and can't even get serviced properly. This family's experience isn't an isolated incident. It's the canary in the coal mine for what's happening across America as 7 major automotive brands face collapse in 2025. Everyday people who trusted these manufacturers with their hard-earned money are now watching in horror as their investments crumble. Dealer networks disintegrate and resale values plummet to catastrophic levels. The American automotive market is experiencing a crisis that nobody's talking about. 7 major car brands are on the brink of financial collapse, and they're taking thousands of unsuspecting customers down with them. These aren't obscure foreign nameplates or boutique luxury marks. They're household names that millions of Americans have trusted with their second largest investment after their homes. As dealerships close, service centers disappear, and parts become increasingly scarce, owners of these vehicles are facing a financial nightmare. Resale values are plummeting at unprecedented rates, warranty support is evaporating, and maintenance costs are skyrocketing as specialized components become harder to find. What was once a reliable family car is rapidly transforming into a financial anchor, dragging owners toward bankruptcy. You might assume these failing brands are all economy manufacturers with quality issues or obscure luxury nameplates that never gained traction. But the shocking reality is that several of these brands were once automotive icons with decades of history and millions of loyal customers. Their collapse isn't primarily about product quality or even changing consumer preferences. It's about corporate neglect, strategic mismanagement, and the ruthless economics of an industry in transition. And here's what nobody tells you. The dealers selling these vehicles know exactly what's happening. Internal communications reveal that many dealerships are desperately trying to unload inventory of these dying brands through aggressive incentives while simultaneously planning their exit strategies. They're selling cars they know will become orphaned vehicles with minimal support, rapidly declining values, and increasingly difficult maintenance situations, all without disclosing these risks to customers. Which 7 automotive brands are facing extinction in 2025? Why are they collapsing despite seemingly healthy sales? And most importantly, what will happen to the thousands of Americans who own these vehicles when their manufacturer and dealer support vanishes? Let's expose the disturbing reality that automotive manufacturers and dealerships don't want you to know about before you make a catastrophic purchasing decision. 1. Chrysler, the American icon in terminal decline. The hollowed-out shell. Chrysler, once a pillar of American automotive manufacturing, has been reduced to a hollow shell of its former self. With just 3 models in its lineup, the aging 300 sedan, the Pacifica minivan, and the budget Voyager, the brand that helped build Detroit has all but disappeared from American roads. The numbers tell a devastating story. Chrysler sales have plunged over 70% since 2015, with monthly volumes that would have been unimaginable a decade ago. Dealer inventory sits stagnant, with some 300 sedans remaining on lots for over 200 days, an eternity in automotive retail where 60 days is considered problematic. Behind these statistics are real people who trusted an American icon with their hard-earned money. What makes Chrysler's situation particularly alarming for current owners is the rapid dismantling of its dealer network. Since 2020, over 30% of Chrysler dealerships have either closed entirely or dropped the brand from their franchises. This creates dangerous service deserts where owners must drive hundreds of miles for warranty repairs or routine maintenance. The parts supply chain is similarly deteriorating, with components for even relatively new models becoming increasingly difficult to source. For consumers who purchased Chryslers in recent years, the financial impact is severe. Data from Automotive Valuation Services shows 2022 Chrysler 303s have lost nearly 45% of their value in just 2 years, approximately double the depreciation rate of comparable sedans from more stable manufacturers. A family who financed a $42,000 Chrysler 300 in 2022 likely owes $10,000 more than the vehicle is currently worth, creating a financial trap they cannot escape without taking a devastating loss. The future looks even bleaker. Industry analysts report that parent company Stellantis has no new Chrysler models in development beyond minimal updates to existing vehicles. The 300 sedan is slated for discontinuation, leaving just the Pacifica Voyager minivan duo to carry the brand, a segment that represents less than 2% of the American automotive market. Without new products or significant investment, Chrysler appears to be in a managed decline toward eventual extinction. Second, Infiniti, the luxury brand nobody remembers. The identity crisis. Infiniti, Nissan's luxury division, is experiencing what industry insiders call a silent collapse. Once positioned to compete with Lexus and Acura as Japan's answer to German luxury, Infiniti has lost nearly 75% of its peak sales volume and is rapidly disappearing from luxury shopping lists. The brand's decline is reflected in its dealership network, where closures and consolidations have accelerated dramatically since 2023. Over 25% of Infiniti dealerships have either closed or consolidated with Nissan stores in the past 2 years, with more announcements expected. This contraction creates an immediate problem for current owners, who face dwindling service options and declining support. What makes Infiniti's situation particularly devastating for owners is the catastrophic depreciation affecting even recent models. Data from wholesale auction reports shows that 3-year-old Infiniti Q50 sedans are retaining just 38% of their original value, compared to 51% for BMW 3 Series and 58% for Lexus IS models of the same age. This represents a financial disaster for owners who finance these vehicles and now find themselves severely underwater on their loans. The maintenance situation adds insult to injury. As dealerships close and specialized Infiniti technicians become scarce, owners report increasing difficulty obtaining even routine service. Parts that were once readily available now require weeks to source, and repair costs have escalated as competition among service providers diminishes. One owner reported being quoted $3,200 for a basic infotainment system repair that would cost $800 on a comparable Nissan model. Industry analysts point to Infiniti's product strategy as the core of its problems. The brand lacks clear differentiation from parent company Nissan's high-end offerings, with many models sharing obvious components and designs with much cheaper Nissan alternatives. This creates a value proposition that luxury buyers reject. Why pay premium prices for vehicles that are transparently rebadged mainstream products? With parent company Nissan focusing its resources on its core brand and electric vehicle development, Infiniti appears to have been left to wither. No significant new models are slated for introduction through 2026, leaving the brand with an aging lineup in a luxury market that demands constant innovation. For current and prospective owners, this means owning a depreciating asset from a brand with an increasingly uncertain future. 3. Mitsubishi, the forgotten Japanese brand. The invisible manufacturer. Mitsubishi has achieved a dubious distinction in the American market. Many consumers don't even realize the brand still sells cars here. Once known for rally-inspired performance cars and rugged SUVs, Mitsubishi has faded to near invisibility with a limited lineup of outdated models and a rapidly contracting dealer network. The sales numbers reveal the extent of Mitsubishi's collapse. The brand's American sales have fallen by over 60% from their peak, with some models selling fewer than 200 units monthly nationwide. Dealer inventories tell an even more concerning story, with vehicles routinely sitting on lots for 150-plus days, more than double the industry average. For current Mitsubishi owners, this market performance translates directly into financial pain. Depreciation rates for Mitsubishi vehicles are among the worst in the industry, with 3-year-old Outlanders retaining just 42% of their original value according to recent auction data. This creates a financial trap for owners who finance their purchases and now find themselves owing thousands more than their vehicles are worth. The service situation may be even more concerning than the depreciation. Mitsubishi's dealer network has contracted by approximately 20% since 2020, creating vast regions where owners must travel hundreds of miles for authorized service. As dealers close, trained technicians disappear from the market, parts become harder to source, and repair costs escalate dramatically. Industry analysts point to Mitsubishi's product strategy as the root of its problems. The brand's American lineup consists entirely of aging designs with minimal updates, competing in crowded segments against fresher, more compelling alternatives. The company has diverted most of its development resources to Asian markets where it remains stronger, leaving its American operations with little to attract new customers. The future looks increasingly bleak as Mitsubishi's global alliance with Renault and Nissan evolves. The brand's role appears to be diminishing, with fewer unique products planned and more resource sharing with its partners. For American consumers who own Mitsubishi vehicles, this strategic direction suggests continued decline in support, parts availability, and resale values. 4. Lincoln, the luxury brand without purpose. The premium pretender. Lincoln, Ford's luxury division, is experiencing a quiet crisis that has dealerships concerned and owners watching their investments evaporate. Once a prestigious American luxury brand that competed directly with Cadillac, Lincoln has lost its identity and market position, becoming essentially a collection of rebadged Ford products with premium price tags. The sales figures are alarming. Lincoln's volume has declined by approximately 50% since its peak, with some models like the Continental sedan discontinued entirely due to poor performance. The remaining lineup consists primarily of crossovers and SUVs that share obvious DNA with much less expensive Ford counterparts. For current Lincoln owners, this brand decline translates directly into financial losses. Depreciation data from wholesale markets shows 3-year-old Lincoln Nautilus models retaining just 41% of their original value, compared to 48% for Cadillac XT5 and 56% for Lexus RX models of similar age. This accelerated depreciation creates a financial crisis for owners who finance these vehicles at their inflated original prices. The dealer situation compounds these problems. Lincoln has been consolidating with Ford dealerships for years, with dedicated Lincoln showrooms becoming increasingly rare. This not only diminishes the luxury purchase and service experience, but also signals the brand's diminishing importance within Ford Motor Company. As Lincoln-specific facilities disappear, so do technicians with specialized training on these vehicles. The maintenance outlook for current owners is particularly concerning. As Lincoln-specific parts become special-order items rather than stocked components, repair times lengthen and costs increase. Owners report wait times of weeks for components that would be immediately available for mainstream Ford models, creating frustrating service experiences that further damage the brand's reputation. Industry analysts point to Lincoln's product strategy as fundamentally flawed. The brand attempts to compete in the luxury space while using thinly disguised Ford platforms and components, creating vehicles that neither offer the prestige of European luxury brands nor the value proposition of their Ford siblings. This identity crisis leaves Lincoln without a compelling reason to exist in an increasingly competitive luxury market. With Ford focusing its development resources on electric vehicles and its highly profitable truck lineup, Lincoln appears to be a low priority for future investment. The brand has announced vague electrification plans, but has revealed few specific products, suggesting a continued decline is more likely than a renaissance. For current owners, this strategic direction means continued depreciation and diminishing support for their vehicles. 5. Acura, Honda's fading luxury experiment. The premium identity crisis. Acura, Honda's luxury division, is facing a crisis of relevance that threatens its continued existence in the American market. Once positioned as a performance-oriented alternative to European luxury brands, Acura has lost its distinctive character and now struggles to justify its premium prices over increasingly well-equipped Honda models. The market performance tells the story. Acura sales have declined by approximately 40% from their peak, with some models like the RLX sedan discontinued entirely due to dismal sales. The remaining lineup consists primarily of crossovers and SUVs that share obvious mechanical DNA with much less expensive Honda alternatives. For current Acura owners, this brand confusion translates directly into financial losses. Depreciation data from wholesale auctions shows 3-year-old Acura TLX sedans retaining just 44% of their original value, compared to 47% for Infiniti Q50 and 58% for Lexus ES models of similar age. This accelerated depreciation creates a financial trap for owners who finance these vehicles at their premium original prices. The service situation adds another layer of concern. While Acura benefits from Honda's generally robust dealer network, the brand-specific experience has deteriorated as many dealerships consolidate Acura and Honda operations. Specialized Acura technicians have become scarcer, and parts for unique Acura components often require special ordering, extending repair times and increasing costs. Industry analysts point to Acura's product strategy as fundamentally flawed. The brand charges premium prices for vehicles that share too much with mainstream Honda products, creating a value proposition that luxury buyers increasingly reject. The MDX SUV, for example, commands a $15,000+ premium over the Honda Pilot despite sharing the same fundamental platform, powertrain, and many components. With Honda focusing its development resources on mainstream models and electrification, Acura appears to be receiving minimal investment for truly distinctive products. The brand has announced vague performance and electrification plans, but has revealed few specific products that would meaningfully differentiate it from Honda or competitors. For current owners, this strategic direction means continued depreciation and diminishing brand prestige. 6. Genesis, the luxury newcomer struggling to survive. The premium experiment. Genesis, Hyundai's luxury division, faces a different kind of crisis than established brands in decline. As a relatively new entrant to the American luxury market, Genesis struggles with low brand recognition, a limited dealer network, and the skepticism that greets any mainstream manufacturer's attempt to move up market. Despite producing genuinely competitive luxury vehicles, Genesis sales remain a fraction of established luxury brands, with some models selling fewer than 200 units monthly nationwide. This limited market presence creates immediate concerns for current owners regarding long-term support and resale values. For people who took a chance on Genesis, the financial impact is already becoming apparent. Depreciation data shows 3-year-old Genesis G80 sedans retaining just 42% of their original value, compared to 48% for comparable Lexus models and 46% for BMW alternatives. This accelerated depreciation reflects the market's uncertainty about the brand's longevity and future support. The service situation presents particular challenges for Genesis owners. With fewer than 400 dedicated Genesis facilities nationwide, many owners must travel significant distances for warranty service or rely on Hyundai dealerships that may lack specialized training and equipment. This compromised service experience undermines the luxury ownership proposition that justified the premium price. Parts availability adds another layer of concern. As a low-volume brand with limited market presence, Genesis-specific components often require special ordering, extending repair times and increasing costs when vehicles need service. Owners report waiting weeks for parts that would be immediately available for more established luxury brands. Industry analysts question Genesis's long-term viability in the American market despite the quality of its products. The brand faces the fundamental challenge of establishing luxury credentials in a market dominated by established players with decades of heritage. Without the scale and recognition of its competitors, Genesis struggles to justify the massive investment required to develop and market true luxury vehicles. With parent company Hyundai focusing increasing resources on electric vehicles and its mainstream brands, Genesis's future product plans remain unclear. The brand has announced ambitious electrification goals but faces the same challenges in the luxury EV space. face as it does with conventional vehicles, convincing consumers to choose an unproven brand over established alternatives. For current owners, this uncertainty translates directly into continued depreciation and concerns about long-term support. 7. Alfa Romeo, the Italian passion project facing reality. The romantic failure. Alfa Romeo's return to the American market was supposed to bring Italian passion and driving excitement to segments dominated by rational German alternatives. Instead, the storied Italian brand has become a case study in failed luxury market expansion, with dismal sales, a contracting dealer network, and reputation-damaging reliability issues. The sales numbers are brutal. Alfa Romeo moves fewer than 1,000 vehicles monthly in the entire United States, with some models selling fewer than 100 units nationwide. This minimal market presence creates immediate concerns about the brand's continued viability in the American market. For consumers who were seduced by Alfa's Italian styling and driving dynamics, the ownership experience has often been disappointing. Reliability surveys consistently rank Alfa Romeo among the worst performers, with owners reporting frequent issues requiring dealer intervention. This combination of exotic car problems with mainstream luxury pricing has created a toxic reputation in the market. The financial impact for owners has been severe. Depreciation data shows 3-year-old Alfa Romeo Giulia sedans retaining just 37% of their original value, among the worst in the luxury segment and far below German and Japanese alternatives. This catastrophic depreciation creates a financial disaster for owners who finance these vehicles and now find themselves severely underwater on their loans. The service situation compounds these problems. Alfa Romeo's limited dealer network means many owners must travel significant distances for warranty repairs or routine maintenance. As dealers increasingly abandon the franchise due to poor sales, these service deserts expand, leaving owners with fewer options for maintaining their vehicles. Parts availability presents another major concern. As a low-volume import brand, Alfa Romeo components often require shipping from European distribution centers, creating weeks-long delays for even relatively common repairs. Owners report rental car expenses exceeding thousands of dollars while waiting for parts that would be readily available for more established luxury brands. Industry analysts question parent company Stellantis' commitment to Alfa Romeo's American presence given its persistent underperformance. The brand has announced reduced product plans, delayed new model introductions, and scaled back its dealer expansion, all suggesting a recognition that its American experiment has failed. For current owners, this strategic retreat means continued depreciation, service challenges, and ultimately the likelihood of owning an orphaned vehicle from an abandoned brand. While manufacturers spend millions convincing you that these struggling brands represent smart luxury purchases, the reality for owners is increasingly dire. The financial math is brutal. A $50,000 vehicle from one of these 7 brands will typically lose 60 to 65% of its value in just 3 years, compared to 45 to 50% for stable alternatives. This accelerated depreciation represents a direct financial loss of $7,500 to $10,000 compared to choosing a more viable brand. The service situation creates additional financial exposure. As dealer networks contract, owners face longer travel distances for repairs, extended waiting periods for parts, and fewer options for competitive service pricing. These factors combine to increase the true cost of ownership by thousands of dollars over a vehicle's lifespan, costs that aren't factored into the attractive monthly payments advertised in commercials. Perhaps most concerning is what happens when these brands ultimately fail or exit the American market entirely. Orphaned vehicle owners face a cascade of problems. Warranties that may not be fully honored, parts that become increasingly difficult to source, and resale values that collapse to salvage levels regardless of the vehicle's condition. What started as a luxury purchase becomes a stranded asset that continues to cost money while delivering diminishing utility. The human cost extends beyond finances. Families who depend on these vehicles for daily transportation face increasing uncertainty about reliability and repair timelines. A routine component failure that might mean a one-day repair for a mainstream brand can become a weeks-long ordeal for owners of these struggling marquees, creating disruption that affects employment, childcare, and daily necessities. Here's what makes these 7 failing brands truly dangerous for consumers. They're zombie brands being kept artificially alive just long enough to extract maximum profit from unsuspecting customers. Internal industry documents documents reveal that several of these manufacturers have already mapped out their exit strategies from the American market while continuing to sell new vehicles with 7-year loans that will long outlast their corporate support. The dealerships selling these vehicles understand exactly what's happening. Industry surveys show that over 65% of dealers representing these brands are actively pursuing alternative franchises or exit strategies while continuing to move inventory to consumers who don't understand the risks. This creates a perfect storm of misaligned incentives where everyone in the transaction except the customer knows the long-term prognosis for these brands. What makes this situation particularly troubling is the targeted marketing these brands direct toward financially vulnerable consumers. As traditional luxury buyers abandon these marks, their marketing increasingly focuses on first-time luxury purchasers and credit-challenged buyers who may not understand the risks of owning a vehicle from a failing brand. Attractive financing terms and inflated trade-in values create the illusion of affordability while masking the long-term financial trap being set. The manufacturers themselves bear the ultimate responsibility for this situation. Rather than executing dignified exits that protect existing owners, these companies continue selling new vehicles while systematically dismantling the support infrastructure those vehicles will need throughout their usable lives. This extraction strategy maximizes short-term profit at the expense of customers who will bear the financial consequences for years to come. The 7 brands we've covered, Chrysler, Infiniti, Mitsubishi, Lincoln, Acura, Genesis, and Alfa Romeo, aren't just struggling manufacturers, they're financial traps that threaten the economic well-being of unsuspecting consumers. By choosing these vehicles, buyers aren't just selecting underperforming automotive brands, they're exposing themselves to financial risks that could impact their credit, mobility, and financial stability for years to come. The Arizona family struggling with their orphaned Chrysler Pacifica represents just one of thousands of similar stories playing out across America. As dealer networks contract, parts become scarcer and corporate support diminishes. Owners of these vehicles face a troubling reality. The second largest purchase in their lives is rapidly transforming from transportation into a financial anchor. The most disturbing aspect of this situation is how preventable these outcomes are. With proper information about brand stability, dealer network health, and depreciation projections, consumers could make informed decisions that protect their financial interests. Instead, glossy marketing and aggressive incentives create the illusion of value while concealing the true costs of ownership from these failing brands. Do you own a vehicle from one of these 7 brands? I want to hear about your experience in the comments below. Are you seeing the service challenges and depreciation issues we've described, or has your ownership experience been different? Your perspective could help others make more informed decisions. Even if you don't own one of these vehicles, this information could save someone you care about from making a catastrophic financial mistake. Share this video with friends or family members considering a new vehicle purchase, especially if they're looking at attractive deals from these struggling brands. Don't forget to subscribe for our upcoming video on the only 5 cars worth buying in 2025, where we'll reveal the vehicles that represent genuine value, stable support networks, and financial security in an increasingly uncertain automotive market. The knowledge to avoid these financial traps is power, and I'm here to help you navigate this changing landscape with confidence.